It was past midnight when the last customers left Willow Diner, the little cafe at the edge of the city that smelled like coffee, rain, and exhaustion. The neon open sign flickered one last time before going dark. Inside, Lily Adams, a young waitress with tired eyes and an oversized uniform, began cleaning tables. Her fingers were red from dish soap and her shoes were falling apart, but she never complained. To her, this job wasn't just work, it was survival. What Lily didn't know was that tonight, one of her customers wasn't who he seemed. At the back booth sat a quiet man in his mid-30s, wearing a gray hoodie and jeans. He looked like any other late-night customer, but his eyes were sharp, observant. His name was Ethan Ward, and he was the CEO of the company that owned this very diner chain. He'd come undercover to see why this branch was struggling, but what he found would change his life. When the doors closed, Ethan watched Lily stack chairs, mop the floor, and finally walk behind the counter. He noticed how carefully she wrapped the unsold muffins, how she sighed when she thought no one was watching. Then, something unexpected happened. Lily looked around, making sure the manager was gone. She opened the display case, took 2 pieces of leftover bread, wrapped them in napkins, and gently placed them inside her bag. Ethan's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but confusion. Was she stealing? He followed her quietly as she left the diner and stepped into the cold night. Her coat was thin, her hands trembling from the chill. She walked fast, through narrow streets, until she stopped at an old building with broken windows. She unlocked the door and disappeared inside. Ethan hesitated, then crossed the street and looked through the window. Inside, a small boy, no older than 8, sat at a wobbly table doing homework under a dim bulb. Lily smiled softly, took out the bread and handed it to him. The boy's eyes lit up. "Is this for me, sis?" "Eat, Jamie," she whispered. "You need strength for school tomorrow?" Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. This girl wasn't a thief. She was a sister trying to keep her family alive. The next day, Ethan returned, this time in his usual suit. The staff didn't recognize him from the night before. The manager, a gruff man named Carl, hurried over. "Mr. Ward!" "What an honor. If we'd known you were visiting..." "I prefer surprise visits," Ethan said coolly. His gaze shifted to Lily, who froze behind the counter, her eyes wide. He smiled gently at her, but said nothing. After an hour of inspection and small talk, Ethan asked everyone to gather. "I've reviewed this branch," he began, "and while there are management issues to address, I want to talk about something else: compassion." Carl frowned. "Sir?" Ethan looked at Lily. "There's someone here who showed me what real dedication looks like. Someone who works double shifts, stays late, and still finds time to care for others when she has nothing herself." Whispers rippled through the staff. Lily lowered her head, tears filling her eyes. Ethan continued, "Lily Adams, please step forward." She did, trembling. "Sir, if this is about last night, He raised a hand softly. "Last night I saw a young woman bring food to a hungry child. You didn't steal, Lily. You gave." Everyone fell silent. Ethan turned to the others. "If this company ever forgets kindness, we lose our soul." Then he looked back at Lily. "From today, you're promoted to assistant floor manager. And there's something else." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a check, enough to cover her rent for 6 months and enroll her brother in school. Her voice broke. "Why would you do this for me?" He smiled. "Because you reminded me what success is supposed to mean." Days turned into weeks. Ethan kept visiting the diner, sometimes under the excuse of checking progress, but really it was because he couldn't stop thinking about her. Lily's laughter began to fill the diner again. She'd smile when he entered, teasing him about his fancy coffee preferences or how he couldn't fold napkins properly. Ethan found himself staying longer each time. One evening, as the rain poured outside, Lily brought him a cup of coffee and said quietly, "You don't act like a CEO." He chuckled. "Is that a compliment or an insult?" She blushed. "A little of both." He leaned closer. "Maybe that's because I feel more human when I'm here. With you." She looked down, her heart racing. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? Because I might believe them. Their eyes met, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt something real. Not ambition, not status, just warmth. Weeks later, Lily got a new apartment near the diner, small but bright. Jamie was thriving in school, and every Sunday morning, Ethan joined them for breakfast. One day, as Jamie ran off to play, Lily looked at Ethan with tears in her eyes. "You changed our lives," she whispered. He reached across the table, taking her hand. "No, Lily, you changed mine." She smiled, tears rolling down her cheeks. "You fell for a waitress who hides bread in her bag," Ethan smiled softly. "And I'd do it all over again." That night, as the city lights glowed outside, Lily and Ethan stood by the diner window, the same place where he'd once watched her from afar. Now, she leaned into his arms, her head resting on his chest. "You know," she murmured, "I still can't believe the CEO of a company fell in love with me." He smiled against her hair. "No, Lily, a man fell in love with the woman who taught him what love really means. Sometimes love begins not with diamonds or dinners, but with a single loaf of bread and a heart that refuses to give up." Would you like me to expand this into a 20-minute romantic narration script, around 3,000, 4,000 words, with more emotional dialogue, detail, and cinematic pacing, perfect for storytelling or a voiceover video?